Hi folks, I'm Gene McLaughlin. I'd like to welcome you to Old Bridge Outlook with Mayor Owen Henry. On this program, the Mayor has a chance to chat with you about things taking place in the Township and to bring you people who are making things happen in the Township. And today, we're delighted to welcome in our guest, Steve Mamakas, who is the Executive Officer of the Office for Economic Development here in the Township. And Steve has quite a lot to talk about. But Steve, welcome.
Thank you, Gene. Thanks for having me.
And always a pleasure. And if you just give us a minute, the Mayor and I just want to do a little other business. Mayor, Election Day, what'd you think?
Like everybody in Old Bridge, I'm glad it's over.
Yeah,
There's a lot of noise leading up to the election. Congratulations to everyone who received more votes. Congratulations to everyone who participated in the process. I know how it feels. I've done it twice so far.
Right.
And it means a lot, I think, to the community. People put their name, their reputation up on the line and go out and tell people their ideas, and they try to convince people to vote for them. So, you know, it was interesting, this election cycle.
Yeah, and the council changes texture a little bit, has six
council has changed a little bit,
but like
I think every mayor looks as it as an opportunity, getting a different jury, as they like to say. You know, and as a good lawyer, you have a job, you have to convince the jury about, and we have a lot of, you know, I've talked to most of the people who received more votes, and told them I'm looking forward to working with them. If they have some election promises that they made, you know, let's sit down, let's talk, let's see if they can keep their promises to people that they're going to be representing. They've had 8 years, well, they had 7 years of me. They know what to expect. So I'm looking forward to it. I look at it as an opportunity to continue to do good things for the community.
Okay,
I wish everyone the best.
I think it's a great way to look at it, frankly.
And you know, and given that, there comes a big responsibility.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're on the campaign trail, you can say a lot of things.
Yes, yes.
But once you get up there and you have laws and you have ordinances, I think a lot. You know, there's going to be some eye-opening. But I think they're all reasonable people, all willing to listen. I hope they're willing to listen. They have to. Because we're going to hear it anyway.
Right, that's right. Okay, Mayor, thank you. Mayor, the other thing I noticed, we finally got around to recognizing Reggie Butler, huh?
Yes, it took a little bit longer than I expected, but because we had to coordinate with his family, with the weather, and with the council, but we were able to dedicate the Public Works building to Reggie Butler. We had a fantastic ceremony, nothing but compliments from everyone who attended. But like myself, I don't feel like Reggie's gone every time.
No, I know.
You know, every time I walk through the doors, I think of Reggie. I see his smiling face.
Yep.
And I think about him often, almost on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, Reggie was a huge presence.
He was a big presence in my office with the township employees. He spent a lot of time at the Public Works building. That's the reason why the council chose that building. It's also a building where we invest millions of dollars. There's a lot of money down there.
Good.
And you know, we're counting on Reggie to keep an eye over that building and the people that work there. People come and visit that location. That Reggie will keep you know, a watchful eye over them.
Well, I think that's great.
Everything goes well.
To recognize Reggie. Okay, thank you, Mayor. Steve, if we come back to you, talk a little bit about what you've done. The list you gave me in our discussions, you've been doing a lot, but I'd like to open, if I may, with your initiative about bringing Amazon to Old Bridge. How did that come about, and what were you thinking?
What were you thinking?
What was that?
What were you thinking, man?
Well, you know what? In the economic development realm, it's identifying opportunities, like the mayor said, the opportunities. And the opportunity presented itself. So we said, talking with the mayor, why not? Why not Old Bridge?
Yeah.
We met every criteria that Amazon put out in their RFP. So even being in a municipal statistical area, which they're looking for, proximity, our proximity to airports, our location, our demographics, our school system, the proximity to universities. We have it all. So it ties into our branding and marketing. But the opportunity, and for my office, is identifying opportunities that will advance Old Bridge.
Right.
Pretty much. That's the key component of why we went.
Steve, did you give any thought to the fact that despite maybe a long shot to get the business here, that it also, as you just alluded to, is a magnificent opportunity to get Old Bridge out to the public, the name Old Bridge, the town Old Bridge, the product of Old Bridge?
Most definitely, and that was one of the key components. Since then, we've been featured in the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, the Star Ledger, and numerous online papers. And the mayor can attest to being out there and hearing from the community and other communities.
It seems it generated a tremendous amount of publicity, Mayor.
You always say things happen for a reason. It was meant to be. It was on a Sunday morning. I don't get the Sunday Star Ledger any longer. I just found it to be useless.
Yes.
But that morning, for some reason, there was a Star Ledger in my driveway.
Okay.
So I went out and got the Star Ledger, and I opened it up. And I think we were on the phone within a matter of 3 hours.
Yeah.
So if I didn't get that paper that Sunday morning for the first time in years, I wouldn't have saw the article that what Amazon and Steve and I think alike, and we said as Steve said, we met all the criteria. We have everything that a big corporation and people, more than the company itself, the people that work for that company need are right here: quality of life, school system, low taxes, availability of land. We have everything right here in Old Bridge. And that's why I said, hey, Steve, I think we should do this and be good exercise for us as economic development, as the mayor, and also the township professionals. Yeah. It's a great exercise. We put together a nice packet, and if it's not Amazon, then it's another company that's looking to relocate. So one of those things is meant to be, and it happened. I think it happens for a reason.
And a great, as we just said, a great positive halo, Steve.
Most definitely. A team effort from our engineering, planning department. They put together that proposal. We submitted to the state first, the protocol to the state. Then we submitted directly to Old Bridge with the guidance of the EDA and all of that. So we followed the path, and now we're at 237 to 1.
Okay, well, hey,
good odds.
You can't win it unless you're in it, right? As they
Correct.
say. Right.
Correct.
Okay.
And I told Steve we got a hook in the water.
Okay.
With a fish, with a bait. If the big one bites.
If not Amazon 2, maybe Amazon 3.
Yeah.
Or one of their vendors. We sit approximately in the middle of all of their fulfillment centers.
Right.
And our transportation to New York City, they're taking some more office space in New York City. But you know what? There's some towns out there that want to name themselves Amazon
I know. I
town.
saw that one of the towns named themselves, willing to call themselves Amazon.
We're not going to go that far.
We're not going to go that far. But if we're in the 50 range, we're doing pretty good.
Okay,
we
Steve.
Name a section of the town.
But mainly it's for the opportunity of other businesses to see and hear about Old Bridge. Not necessarily Amazon, but to get that word out there.
Steve, we discussed off the air a little bit about one of the things you want to touch on. That's local market conditions. There's a lot involved right now in terms of retail. You used a great phrase, I think, retail apocalypse.
The retail apocalypse,
and online. Could you touch on that a little bit, elaborate?
All right. Looking at the dynamics in the township and people out there saying that, well, we're not doing anything about economic development, far from it, okay? The apocalypse is now, it's a phrase being coined now by media, basically saying that with the closing of all of these stores, the major retailers, it's not that it's being a little bit driven by the e-commerce factor. However, the major retailers, it's a profitability scheme that went on out in the industry, where these investment entities borrowed massively to purchase these large retail chains, like Sears.
Yeah, you cited a couple like Radio Shack.
And Radio Shack. In the past year, 5 businesses have gone out from Radio Shack to Payless and so on.
Right.
But what they did is they borrowed massive amount of money to purchase these. When the dynamic of the retail market changed, where healthcare costs went up and other costs rose, the investment companies that they borrowed from wouldn't give them any more capital. So what they did is they bankrupt the company, right?
Really?
But prior to that, what they do is they buy it, they take the cash reserves out of the major companies to pay themselves back. They then bankrupt the company, and when they bankrupt the company, the stock goes up, they pull the dividends out, and then they close the major retailer.
Geez, you're really telling us something I never thought about.
It's out
very
there.
Interesting.
Look it up, retail apocalypse. So that feeds into the challenges that the shopping centers have in bringing in the larger retailers.
Right, and the vacancies too. You touched on vacancies in Old Bridge. I think you did a survey. There were only about 50 vacancies, though.
There's about close to about 40-something vacancies, 46 vacancies.
Yes, sir.
I did an assessment of the town.
Yes, sir.
Part of our strategic plan, and I'll speak about that.
Please.
Did an assessment of the town. Looked at all of the storefronts and shopping centers, and also standalones, gas stations, banks, 7-Elevens, and so on. Yes, and we come up with an average of about 455 retail businesses in town. It could go up to about 500. Then you add offices in there, it could be 600. It can go, but it's a quick assessment. Driving around town and counting stores, how many we had, and using technology as well, and using the tax assessor's list of stores that are businesses in town. So taking that and looking at the vacancy rate, and we can get into vacancy rate as to why they're vacant, part of the apocalypse there, is that the 45 stores are either, some of them are unrentable, that are in a condition where they haven't been upkept. Okay? So they're not going to be rented unless they invest money in them. Some of the stores are in areas where people just don't want to open up a store. I'll feed people to a certain location and they'll go, why would I open up over there? Population is not there. So doing that assessment and measuring us in reports, and it's going to be in the All Around Old Bridge newspaper, this detailed information, and measuring that against other towns, neighboring towns, which some of them have the highest vacancy rate in the state.
I was going to say, that seems pretty good, Mayor. Only 45 out of 400 and some odd, 10%. That seems pretty good.
And if you look down 516, most of the shopping centers are filled. We have the Walgreens, the Browntown Shopping Center. We didn't lose a business. We took a business and moved it out to the front, more exposure, where Walgreens is invested in our town. That's the second location. So back to that retail challenge that we're having renting those spaces, again, the shopping center owners have not caught up with the recession that we had. And the pricing per square foot can range anywhere. I even had a brewery that wanted to open up inside the Browntown Shopping Center, but the square foot rate was just too much for them to start out businesses, the entrepreneurs. So I think that covers it somewhat of the makeup of the town. But to say we're not doing anything in economic development,
no, I mean, we're going to cite, when we come back from the break, we can talk about that. But one thing before we go to the break, maybe you can touch on the Lowe's situation on Route 9. What's going on?
Lowe's, definitely. Mayor and I talk about that all the time.
Mayor, we've talked about it on here, too.
I'll kick it off, I guess.
Yeah, please.
It's our best rateable in the whole town. Everybody knows that Lowe's built the building in 2000. They signed a 20-year lease.
Yes, sir.
They are paying above market rate for that building. So any building owner would be borderline insane if he were to rent it for somebody who wanted to pay less. Lowe's would have to sign off on it. So it would be like renting your house for $1,000 a month when you're getting $3,000 a month for it with nobody in it. So they take care of the property. They pay their full taxes. It's unfortunate that we have a big building like that empty. But that again, that's a business decision that was made. Lowe's made a decision to close that location. They're still paying for that building. So it's one of them things that I don't understand it. But it's money.
But to them, it made economic sense, obviously, to do that.
I mean, the town suffers absolutely. Other than we have an empty building. There's no traffic generated, there's no calls for service there, and they're paying the full complement of taxes.
So let's talk about the opportunity we have.
Yes,
coming up.
You know.
We have coming up.
Working with the management company and identifying, from your first part of identifying businesses to bring to Lowe's, we had DCH Honda ready to take that location, working through a deal. So I become almost a broker in the town, connecting the management company, DCH Honda and Lowe's, to look at that location. We have hotels looking at that location. However, get into that little retail apocalypse kind of thing, and we have some challenges. But we were so close to getting DCH Honda and swapping the land across the way. I mentioned, why don't you swap the land? Then the management company takes the northbound side and can develop that as well. So focusing on this, there is hope and optimism that Lowe's will have something in it soon enough.
Okay, well, Steve, thank you very much for bringing us up to date on that. And folks, it's gone pretty fast, the first part. We're getting ready to take a break right now. Please stay with us. We're talking with Steve Mamakas from the Office of Economic Development. He's shedding some light on very many topics that you're all interested in, I'm sure. Stay with us.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
Drop that baby.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Folks, welcome back to Old Bridge Outlook with Mayor Owen Henry. Today we have a fascinating guest, Steve Mamakas from the Office of Economic Development. Steve is talking about some of the intricacies, some of the behind-the-scenes look at what goes on in the businesses here in the township, what's been taking place and what will be taking place. I think you'll find it very interesting as we discuss further in this subject. Steve, strategic planning. We talked about that over the air. You have a strategic plan?
Correct.
Where are we going with that?
Well, developing a strategic plan takes a little while. You have to do a couple of runs through it to really define
yes, sir.
where you want to be, where you need to be, where you are.
Right.
In the business world, that's what we do. It's a little bit different working in a town strategic plan, because in a business world, you know where you want to go, you know where you want to be, given specific components, staff, and so on. The strategic plan that we look at, like I said, it looks at our history, looks where we are, current standards, where we want to be. So the strategic plan that we're focusing on for the future of Old Bridge and working with the mayor is focusing on warehousing, hotels, restaurants, office, and the new entrepreneurs coming into town.
Yes, sir.
Those entrepreneurial businesses, the trend. So the strategic plan focuses on a 3 to 5 year look, wherever you want to be with that. So that feeds into the new development that goes on with businesses, the warehouses coming in. So strategic plan is key to building that.
As a framework.
The framework,
where you're going,
correct.
Yes, Mayor, you know, it also places a great deal of stress on the other departments in a way to plan infrastructure, schools, roads, housing.
That's all part of the plan.
Yeah, part of the plan, right.
And the ultimate goal is to meet the needs of the community.
Right.
And Steve identifies where we're lacking. Lacking, obviously, in hotels. One's being built now. One is not enough for a town this size.
I know.
You know, the third largest town in Middlesex County. Restaurants, we have the demographics list from the county. We don't have enough restaurants to feed to have our people. Services, and that's what our plan is here locally, is to serve the community.
Right. Okay.
And Steve has done an excellent job on identifying the needs.
Right.
I mean, the residential growth is going to happen as the town becomes more attractive and people own land. But in order to that, you have to provide the services for those people to go and have a good time and enjoy life and maintain their quality of life.
Okay.
And within the strategic plan,
Steve, please.
There's something called a SWOT, which you identify your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Correct? Right. So our strengths are our attractions. Raceway Park, we have our park system. Those are our strengths. Our weaknesses may be that that people go into other towns. What do we need to put in place? Opportunities, Amazon. Amazon is an opportunity. And then you seek out the other opportunities, the entrepreneurs, the grillstone entrepreneurs that want to open up a business. And then you go down the whole list. But that feeds into it, and it feeds into what the mayor says. Smart growth in the town. All right, yes. Are we going to grow with residents? Yes. But smart growth, putting them in a location where they can transport themselves back and forth to the city, not just plopping them in the middle of nowhere.
Steve, to that point, the mayor just alluded to it. Why don't you touch a little bit on businesses that are coming people may not be aware of? The hotel.
Hotel is on its way.
And that's going to be built on Route 9.
And it'll probably be up by the end of next year, they're saying. It's on Route 9, right after the All-American Ford. Okay, so if you see nothing going on there, they're in the process of getting their paperwork from the franchise chain.
And how about the warehouse that's under development?
Warehouse, you can talk about it, man.
The warehouse
groundbreaking,
is going up. Walls are being stood up probably as we speak. on Waterworks Road.
Really?
Yeah.
Waterworks Road.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right
Who's
across
going
from
in
the
there?
asphalt plant.
Do we know yet who's going in there? Or is
Steve has the owner's name and what they do there. What's going to be a distribution?
It's a distribution center. It's like a mini Amazon per se.
Okay.
It's a privately owned company that drop ships. You order something at Bed Bath & Beyond on the online, they basically take it and they ship it to you.
And that's a distribution, the distribution center.
So that'd be operating. Now that facility is now the catalyst of other warehouses wanting to come here. We've been identified, and I'll use the phrase that was said to us by somebody, you know, Old Bridge is a jewel that has been uncovered.
Yeah, I think that's well said.
Because of our the drayage charges to get to the terminals, we're in close proximity than other towns further out. It costs less, so they're going to want to come here. We have other businesses wanting to open warehouses. You know, going back to the Lowe's location.
Yes, please.
We've identified that. I've showed it to warehouse companies. Not that we want a warehouse on the Route 9 corridor.
Right.
However, again, it doesn't fit the model. The concrete underneath cannot support the 40-foot high of the shelving that go in these warehouses.
Right.
So it's a whole process of digging up the ground to knocking it down completely and starting over again, which investment, the ROI on that is not there for a warehouse.
Right now, right.
So we even had one of our companies, iSims, was going to take the Lowe's facility. They were going to build an office for them out of that Lowe's building, build a mezzanine for them. Unfortunately, they didn't want to commit to a 5-year lease, not even a 5-year lease. So we are working hard to get that Lowe's building occupied, no matter which way. And I just got off the phone with the management company just yesterday for another opportunity that we can see going in there. So, and it's a large building.
Yeah,
you can't just open small stores because it's 150 feet deep. You can't open a small little bake shop.
Right.
So,
and could you divide it though into different businesses?
Well, DCH Honda was going to take a majority of it, then divide it and take another portion, maybe for Walgreens or something like the management company. So those are the challenges. So we're working through it.
Okay, Steve, one thing seems to me fairly significant, Mayor, is coming of Hovnanian. That seems a pretty interesting move. Are they going to move from Red Bank here, or is this an additional facility?
They're
moving the headquarters here.
Correct.
Yes, right off the Parkway there.
Yeah, that's a nice plum.
On Lawrence Harbor Parkway, right by
as you just said, another builder.
Right, but that sets the stage for the criteria and identifying the opportunities that big business, offices, companies, Old Bridge is a place where you could come. The proximity to the parkways. We got 5 major roads that run through us. And go into the branding and marketing of the town.
Yes, sir.
All right? The branding of our town, our slogan is Think Old Bridge.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
We want everybody, as they drive through this town, to think Old Bridge. When you drive down the Route 9 corridor, do you really think what town you're driving through? No. You cannot get south unless you go through the township of Old Bridge. You can't get to the shore.
Right.
Anywhere, unless you take back roads. So we want them to know, when you come through this town, you are in Old Bridge. And by taking out a billboard to helping our businesses, what we did is I brokered a deal with one of the major billboard companies, digital billboard on Route 9, and we advertised the town and 25 businesses, and they were able to advertise on that billboard for $99 each.
Well, for what period of time?
For 4 weeks during the holiday season. And the banner basically said, Think Old Bridge, we have it all. And 25 businesses' names in this town rolled through that, and they signed up in 2 weeks.
Very good cost per thousand, as we like to say in the media business, right?
The small business would never have the opportunity to advertise on those billboards on Route 9 without that type of process put in place.
No, that's
so it's the innovativeness, the looking, the forward thinking, and that's what attracts Amazons and other businesses and small business to say, hey, this company has, this township is looking out for us and helping us prosper.
Okay, well said, Steve. We have had discussions on this program many times, the mayor and I, and with you as well, about the friendliness of the township, business friendly. What's happening? We had, I think, Pat Reardon in a while back talk about code enforcement and the friendly atmosphere. How are we doing on that?
We're doing well. The challenges we have, it's kind of a combination. Code enforcement, we are making strides there. Code enforcement is out, as the mayor always says and we say, is for public safety. Right, Mayor? They're out there for the safety. If you want to take a little bit of this, you can. But what's happening is we are business friendly. we're working with code enforcement. We're making sure that when somebody opens up a store, they're meeting all the codes.
And making it easy for them to do so.
The biggest challenge that we have in code enforcement is the ordinances that we have. And Mayor, you want me to elaborate on the ordinances, how?
Yeah, they're laws that which we operate by. You know, I can't change the laws.
No.
Council has to change the laws. And a lot of times we don't look to enforce the laws when it comes to that. Sometimes with our zoning, but if somebody calls and complains about it, we have to
have something out there, right?
And, you know, we're the party poopers then.
Right. Right.
So and we want to be business friendly, and we are business
Yes,
friendly,
sir.
and I can assert that. But we can't be business where we're going to close our eyes and let people do whatever they want to do when they want to do it, which compromises public safety. With that, we're not going to do. We're going to work with local businesses that want to go through the process, and we'll stay on top of it. We'll meet with them. We'll talk to them. We're constantly in communication with our building department, our subcode officials, working through any issues that they might have. A lot of times there's 4 sides to every story.
Yeah, well, sure.
Sometimes more.
Right.
But we, Steve and I think one thing, we're consistent. We are consistent, and we're committed to helping. And I think Grillstone was a real fine example of that. It was a tough situation for the people coming into that Grillstone because of the previous 2 or 3 owners prior to the building, where they gutted the building, and it couldn't be a remodel. It was a new construction.
Yeah, and that seems like a fairly simple opportunity.
It wasn't.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Because of the state ordinances, where so
yeah.
much work was being done, it had to be considered new. So the whole building had to be brought up to code. Whereas if they would have left the building the way it was, they could have moved in,
but they couldn't.
They couldn't, and they didn't. And so we had to work through that. It was a difficult process.
Really?
But you see, code enforcement is restricted by some ordinances. Some ordinances are old. They've been in our book for years.
And
so
some are state, as you indicated, too.
State and even local ones. Even from signage, zoning standards. Those have to be looked at. And that will help us become even more business friendly. So, well, we are. It's a matter of how to attract, let's say Grillstone, for instance, how to attract a business like that. Getting them in, talking to them, sitting down, getting them with code enforcement together, working them through the process, building a relationship with them on the phone every single day. What's going on today? How can we help you today? What are your inspections like? Dealing with code enforcement. Code enforcement was very, very working well with the Grillstone. It's back to what the mayor says when you get those challenges of a contractor or something not put in the right place. That's safety related.
A little touchy. Okay.
So,
Steve, if I may, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't want to run out of time on you either. Steve, looking at 2018, give me the top 2 or 3 priorities for 2018.
Priorities in 2018 is to, again, identify businesses that will be interested in Old Bridge because we have what everyone's looking for, demographics, location. Focusing on the entrepreneurials, that new wave, that new trend of breweries, entrepreneurs, opening up different types of stores, that the millennials and the 20-year-olds, they're looking for experiences. Focusing on making the township a destination location. We even have somebody interested in putting a hatchet throwing business in, that the kids that
I won't comment on that. Okay.
But they're looking for it as an entertainment aspect of the town. And I get calls all the time. Hey, can I open this in your town? Hey, and come on in, we'll talk about it.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Last thing, how do we contact you? People want to call you, what do they call?
Mayor's Office of Economic Development. It's 732-721-5600, extension 7920.
Okay.
Or ODEDO@oldbridge.com.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in, Steve. It's very enlightening. Mayor, it was a good job.
Thanks, Gene. Thanks for having us.
And thanks for all your hard work. I think it's definitely beginning to pay off, and very, very visibly, too.
And that's my statement, Gene. We're going to keep the ball rolling, that's what I like to say. We're just going to keep building on the success we've had. And I think eventually it's just going to become a machine, and it has. It has almost become a machine.
Okay, good. Folks, this has been Old Bridge Outlook for this time with Mayor Owen Henry. We hope that Steve has managed to cast some light on some of those little hidden mysteries behind the scenes that you don't get a chance to look at. Keep listening here, please, to Old Bridge Outlook. Have a good holiday season. We'll see you next year. And thank you for watching. I'm Gene McLaughlin. We'll see you next time.